Hey everyone, welcome back to part 7 of the Mile High series. As I sit back and reflect on my time at Mile High Comics, the thing that continues to jump out at me over and over and over again is just the enormity and the grand scale of what I saw. Now, it's very impressive on video. I know that's something that I saw years and years ago that led me to reach out to Chuck to arrange my visit over to Mile High. And as I've said, seeing it in person is even more impressive than what you see on video. But I'm just thinking even beyond the amount of comic books that are there, because I focused on this number of 10 million comics, plus there's all the other stuff that's there as well. It's a lot of stuff, obviously. But then you think about what needs to take place in order to turn that into a business. So, it's fine to acquire the stuff, but then you have to have a place to store it. So think back to the first video when I pull up to Mile High Comics and I just show you the size of the 65,000 square foot building. And then not only that, there's the signage on the outside. I've never seen comic book banners of that size before. It's amazing. Then the last video, if you remember, and if you haven't seen the prior videos, make sure you go check out the first 6. But in the last video, I ended off inside the store. You see this giant Mile High comic banner that's in there. But in addition to those things, the thing that he really needs, obviously besides the store, is he needs a place then inside to store all of this stuff. And so you need some pretty strong shelving to be able to pull this off. And, if you don't deal with comic books, you may not realize it, because if your only experience is picking a couple comic books off of a table somewhere or off of a newsstand, you might think, these are just, these things are pretty light. But they get really, really heavy once you start putting them in those white boxes that you're going to see. So each one of those white boxes with the bags and the boards in them, they hold about 275 to 300 comic books. So that's a lot of books. And they hold even more if you don't have the bags and the boards. So it's a lot of weight, and you need to have big shelving systems and strong shelving systems to store all of that. And on that level, that's going to cost a lot of money. So I want you to think about this as you hear Chuck talk about how he got different elements of his storage system, because what's going to happen, and it's maybe has happened already in your business, but if it has, it's going to happen again. But if you're just starting out, I want you to keep this video in mind for the future, because there's going to come a time where you have to make a real significant decision for your business that's going to require you to fork over some money to invest into it. And you're going to have this decision: do I fork over the money, which seems like a lot that could help my business grow and expand, or do I just kind of stay where I'm at right now and just kind of leave things as they are? And every situation is different in terms of what decision that you should make. You're going to hear what Chuck did in a few moments about different, again, elements of his storage system. But I want you to just keep that in mind, because I think that it is important. I've talked about this before about, sometimes just going out there and just putting forth some capital to invest in your business to help you grow. As long as you have a logical plan in place in which you think that this should be able to work out, then there's an argument to going forwards with it. Again, if it can help you grow, you may have to take a loss even for a few years. A lot of businesses do that. Or you may have to break even for a few years. But if the goal is eventually to grow and expand, sometimes you have to do that. Like right now in 2020, what's going on with Amazon is they had to invest a lot of money up front to turn 2-day shipping into 1-day shipping. I mean, it's a massive expenditure on their part. They have to, put the whole entire infrastructure in place. They have to build out warehouses all over the country, so they know that they could reliably, once someone places an order, get it out to them in 1 day. And it's very similar. It's different, but it's also similar to what Chuck had to do to build the infrastructure in place to be able to build the world's largest comic book shop. So let's go back to Chuck and talk about the infrastructure required to store the contents of the world's largest comic book shop. One quick note before we do that, and speaking of infrastructure, is that place is obviously massive, and so it requires a massive heating and air conditioning system, and there happened to be a big giant venting system above where we were talking for part of the interview. So you're going to hear some white noise in the background. It's not so bad that you cannot hear Chuck. You could hear him pretty clearly. So if you need to, just make sure you put the volume up a little bit. bit, but I've obviously tested it out before I put this video up and made sure that you could definitely hear them. So just wanted you to know what that little noise was if you hear it in the background. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of this interview.
Yeah, so this is still part of what we call the legacy system. So all of these are at least 8 or 9 years old and have still been. We've got a young person that's part of a school group.
Yep.
And she's coming in and she's going to condense all these down, take out all the dead title cards, and get us back some of our space from things that we've sold. But then we'll just consolidate that down at the end, because we're actually, Pam is putting so much stuff on the system right now that we're starting to run out of shelves.
Oh my gosh.
Just,
the famous wooden bookshelves too.
yeah, they're doing a shift on these right now.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, this was a hilarious story. And,
okay.
And you know, and again, this is where you got to have more balls and brains. I bought my building over on 56th back in 1987, six. And well, I went to this sale where there was this giant hardware warehouse, and I mean giant, bigger than this one, that was going out. And lo and behold, they had all this shelving in there, and they were selling it for, if I recall, $30 a unit. And so, yeah, well, I spent $30,000 and I wrote a check. And on the way out of there, I called the banker, my banker, and I said, hey, Tom, there's this little check coming your way, and it might take me like a week to cover it. So in the meantime, you're going to have to skip and dance and not let it bounce. And he did. He got me through that. But that was a case where there were 20 other buyers that were in the building that day, and I either had to pull the trigger and buy it and then figure out a way to come up with the monies or not get it.
Right.
And that was 40 years ago? 35 years ago. I'm still using this shelving, and yeah, you'll pry it out of my cold dead fingers because this stuff's solid.
Oh yeah. So now looking back at it though, do you say that actually was, you know, even though it was a ballsy thing, but it actually was a smart thing to do?
Well, of course it was a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
But here's the other part of it. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about the market diminishing. I could never afford to buy this stuff today because even on a used basis, the price of it has gone up.
Right.
And so today it would be, you know, $75,000 used to try and buy this type of stuff, maybe even more. And how could that possibly be cost effective under current revenue streams? Yeah. I
talk about this myself. I say strike when the iron's hot. And if you can find a way to do it and, you know, you think it's going to pay off, do it.
Well, it's like these shelves that my Uncle Christoph built. The year that we built them, we bought 42,000 running feet of 1x8.
Wow. And these are all handmade shelves.
8 miles.
8 miles?
Of 1x8.
How long did it, do you even know how long it took to make all these? Because I've even given the audience
it was
like
2 months, but it was a month one year and then a month the next year. Because he paid for 2 trips to America by doing these for me.
Wow.
Now these are real interesting because these are packs of 10 of the same comics.
Yep.
And we're going to be sealing this row very soon. There's some more that are going to be going in the center, and then this entire row will become a time capsule. And that is because of what I talked about earlier about flippers.
Yep.
And people really driving the market down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this in with boxes probably up to about this high going across, and then I'm going to take a board, screw it across here, and a board and screw it across the back, and there'll be no access whatsoever into this area. And if you note, none of these packs have any identification on them whatsoever.
True.
Okay, now why would that be?
You haven't gotten around to it yet?
No, I don't want to sell them.
Okay, that's right. That's true.
No, seriously.
Yeah,
I'm locking these up.
right. Now, do you have a sense on how long you would keep them locked up for?
Do I care?
No, I guess not.
They're paid for. So do I care? I'm just going to lock them up, and I don't know. They're all mystery meat. I do not know
Does
what's on
does
these
that
shelves.
bother you at all, though? Like, you know, in any sense, like not knowing what's in there?
No, because one of the things that I've discovered is that, okay, let's go back to 1978. I sold a friend of mine who had the Comics and Comics chain
Right.
out in California a whole bunch of my Overstock. And his staff got incredibly mad at him and at me because he supposedly overpaid. He paid me a dime each. And took a whole bunch of stuff that nobody wanted, like Howard the Ducks and Doctor Strange and Novas and all this stuff that were titles that weren't that popular at that moment in time. But I really wish I had those packs back now.
Yeah.
And if I would have just stuck them away and waited, I would have made a lot more than than I made selling them at a dime a piece. Now think about this for a second, okay? And I this is sort of a mantra that I have here, and that is that every single collectible that exists is a function of diminishing quantities.
True.
So every day that goes by, there's a fire, there's a flood, there's a nasty little neighbor kid who breaks into your house. Every single day, comic books become harder to find, and the same is true for other collectibles as
Sure.
well. But I bought Spidey 365s, the black cover with the hologram. I bought them for $1 each when they were in oversupply, and I just sold one at the auction on Saturday for $26.
Right.
And you know, when you can make 100 times your money.
Sure. Plus, you never know when a particular character is going to become more popular. Like, there was a time where no one cared about Rocket Raccoon. But
Correct.
then, Guardians of the Galaxy movie comes out, and now everyone wants it.
But see, no one knows what's on these shelves.
Right, yeah, right.
Okay?
Right.
And they're all overstocked right now. We do know that. They would not be here if they were not overstocked relative to our current inventory.
Sure.
Okay, so we know with a degree of certainty that we can put them away for 3 years, no sweat. 5 years, probably. 10 years, that could be interesting.
Okay.
And so the bet that I'm making is on my own longevity. Am I going to be here in 10 years to open this back up again?
But that brings up another question as to, do you have a plan or an idea in place of what happens eventually? We're all not going to be here. What's going to happen then with all these books?
Nope.
You don't know? You have no plan?
No plan. Don't know, don't care. Okay? Why
Well,
should I
would it
care?
bother you though? Like if you didn't have a plan and someone just came in and just wholesaled everything out of here? Like that would go
That could happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
If the wrong set of circumstances occurs and suddenly I run out of cash flow and I
Yeah.
got nothing and nothing,
Yeah.
then, tomorrow I could be dumping all this shit.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's when all your nickelers get crushed like books. Because if you see 10 million books come on the market all in one big lump,
Yeah.
I am their worst nightmare.
That's true. That's true. That's going to change things big time.
Okay? So
Yeah.
everyone needs to really say little prayers that Chuck continues to be fat, dumb, and stupid and stays alive and doesn't dump all his crap on the market and ruin their business for him. Okay? Because I do have that power.
Okay. Yeah. Well, with this much volume, you certainly do. I mean, my gosh.
But I have a
Amazing.
commitment to comics collectors, comics fans. I have a commitment to this world.
Right.
Because that's really what it is, and that's what I love. People say that I love comics. That's really not true. What I love is the world of buying and selling comics, the people that are involved in creating comics, the whole sort of greater community.
Sure.
That where we're all together. That's what I truly value. I mean, knowing that people like Julie Schwartz and Jack Kirby and Stan Lee were my personal friends.
Yeah.
How was I ever so lucky to get to hang out with Will Eisner? Okay? I just, sometimes I look back over my career and I'm just sort of like, God, you were one lucky little peckerhead.
Yeah, I was just wondering now, like, as you, like, if you walk around sometimes, just look at this place and you just, in general, just think back of your life and just say, my God, it's amazing. Like, it's just been amazing.
Well, if I started right now selling 1,000 comics a day and didn't buy another one, I would still have comics in 27 years. Okay? Which would put me at 91. I'm not entirely sure my enthusiasms are going to last that long.
Right.
But might there be someone else, someone in my family that might take over? Maybe. I'm not counting on anything though.
Okay.
And that's why I say that there's no plan. You know, it could be at some point that someone comes in and impresses me, not with their financial wherewithal, but with their enthusiasm and
Sure.
their ability. And it's possible that I would then sell it to them and let them carry on the tradition.
Okay.
But it would have to be with an understanding that it can't be monetarily driven.
Yeah.
If it's monetarily driven, then it's not going to work.
Okay.
The economics of it. Okay, just, I mean, let's put it in the simplest terms. Forget about the trades, forget about the toys, forget about everything else, and let's just talk about comic books. I got 10 million comic books in here. At 10 cents each, somebody's going to have to write me a check for $1 million, and you'd be getting all the shelving for free.
Yeah.
And there's easily $500,000 in shelving and fixtures in this place.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you see where the economics? I mean, it's
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Oh yeah. When you're at this
And,
scale, absolutely.
But it's only because it's been an accumulation of year after year after year for 50 years of me not taking money out. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that part of the interview, hearing the stories behind how Chuck acquired and built so much of the shelving units that were required to really grow and expand his business so he could hold all of that material there. And again, I hope that this video is something you think of, that it's some food for thought in the future, maybe even right now when you have to make decisions about investing into your business to grow and expand. Now, many of you have asked me if there are going to be more parts of the Mile High series, and yes, there are, although I will tell you that we are towards the end. The final part, which we are going to go into in the next video, is going into Chuck's office, which is the only part of the store that is on a second level. Now, he said in a prior video the second level is zoned to build a complete second floor in there so they could store 10 million additional comic books. But right now, he has one part built out that's about 5,000 square feet. That is his office, and he doesn't really let many people in there. So this is going to be a special treat to be able to go in there, and you will see what he has in there. It's another amazing collection, but it's not comic books. In fact, it's something completely different. I've mentioned it in one of the other videos, but I'm not sure how many of you caught onto it. But beyond what's even in that collection, there's also another amazing part of the video that's going to happen, and we're going to end off on that. So stay tuned for the next video. And if you like this one, again, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you come to my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, and also come over to my Instagram account. That's @prime_time_treasure. All those links are down below. I'll see you back at the next video, everyone. Take care.